Hi there, this is Diane, one of 5 awesome optimists. Happy Thursday! Oh my goodness, love is in the air. I have seen it all over, and I love Sarah Bull's video that she talked about when she went to a wedding and how that makes us feel. And we just, as human beings, we absolutely need to be loved. It's not that we love to be loved, although we do, but we need to be loved. So it's no surprise that if you're not feeling that, or you don't have that fulfilling relationship in your life, that you're feeling a little hole in your heart. That's good. That means that pain will bring you to a new level if you do something about it. And also that brings me to another thing that is about breaking up. And what is there to be optimistic about breaking up? Well, everything is awesome about breaking up. And let me tell you why. Because when you break up, you're one step closer and one step more courageous to be with the person you're supposed to be with. As long as you belabor the point that you know you're not good with somebody and you keep bringing each other down, you're not doing either one of you a favor. So really, it's a disservice to stay together if you know that you're not the one for that person. And that's okay, because there's, if you think in the grand scheme of things, this life is a long life, and if you're going to be with one person for the rest of it, then you owe it to yourself and to them and to the person you may be with who's not right for you to move on. It may be comfortable, it may be familiar, you may have some time invested, but move on, because you're stealing their time away from who they're supposed to be with also. I also saw a 50th wedding anniversary. My parents are going to celebrate their 50th next year, and it's not perfect. Nobody's relationship is perfect, but you work on it if you're committed, if you're married. If you're not married and you're not committed, but you're with somebody who just isn't good for you, or you're not on the same page, or you don't want the same things, release each other. Release each other so that you can find and be the one who you would like to be with. I recently encountered somebody who I went out with a couple years ago, and I loved going out with him. I just loved it. In fact, I've loved every date that I've gone on, even those that don't end in, a match. Obviously, there's only going to be one match, right? So you're going to go, have a lot of experiences that are not your match. But so what? Take that out of the equation and just enjoy what's great about the other person. Because when you are attracting people, you're not just going to attract the one you want, you're going to attract all kinds of people. And so it behooves us to be kind and loving and wonderful to all people, because all people have gifts to receive and gifts to give. I remember one guy that I went out with first, right after my divorce, and I felt so odd. It felt so odd. I was in a 20-year relationship that ended just rather abruptly and unexpectedly. And so after some time passed and my divorce was final, and I was going out on dates with different people that I had met online on a dating site, you kind of like forget about, what do I like? I don't know. I haven't been asked that for years and years. Suddenly I go from the bottom of the pile of importance, and now I'm at the top of the pile. And people who don't know anything about your life or your job or your family or your responsibilities as a daughter, a son, a husband, a wife, a teacher, or whatever are your roles in life, now all of a sudden you're just woman or just man. And who you are is way more important than what you do. And so it behooves you to just look at what you love in your life. And one of the things I love to do is read. I love to read. And so I was talking with this guy, and I said, what was the last thing that you read? And he said, oh, I don't read. And I said, you mean you can't read? You're illiterate? Or you can read, but you choose not to? And he said, no, I don't. I can read, but I watch TV. And I went, my jaw, seriously, I was like, close your mouth, Dad. And I went, you don't read. And I had to must process, don't, overload. I didn't know what to do with that information because my family, my friend, we're all such readers. And so he didn't realize it, but he left me with a beautiful gift. He let me know how much I love to read. I had never considered that quality before, but because I was, just having regular conversation, I realized I really, it's really important to me that maybe the people that I'm with, maybe, somebody in the future, that they read. And so every person that you meet will magnify something in you that you never thought was important, and you sort of get to discover yourself and this whole self-discovery thing. I also received a letter, and I could hear the distress of this young girl, and she said, let's see, she said, please help. She said, oh my gosh, I freaking love you. You have such good advice. Will you please make a video on how to get over your first love? I dated a guy for 2.5 years and we broke up for various reasons. I need a little direction in what to do with my life. Thank you. Now hers is just one of the examples of many of them that I get. I have another channel here on YouTube called Blondes Prefer Gentlemen, where actually it's special advice just for men. And this one, she got to watch one of my videos, and you know what? I don't get a single penny for those things. I do that out of the straight shooting of my heart, born of my own experiences and what I have observed, because I'm not 20 anymore. I'm a grown woman, and things are different. We have different things, in our lives that we have to consider besides just attraction. And so, my gosh, love who you are. If you don't love who you are, why would somebody else want to love who you are? If you love who you are, if you just, it's not like, ooh, honey, I own it. I am so, I just love myself. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean being comfortable in your own skin, being passionate about living and radiating in the peace that you feel being whole as a single person, if you're single. As a married person, always remember that you and your spouse are still two separate beings, even though you have this union. And it's important that you develop the things that you love to do so that you never have experienced that stagnation that surely comes. That is normal to do that. So, breaking up without going to pieces is one of the greatest gifts of optimism. And instead of saying like, oh, realize, hey, now I'm closer to who I'm supposed to be with. And having that experience, even though it might have ripped a little piece of my heart, is actually going to be a gift for the one you are supposed to be with. And as for the time factor, this girl said she was with somebody for 2.5 years. Oh my gosh, if I invested 2.5 years with every person I thought maybe, my gosh, I would be an old woman by the time. I think it's a fair assessment. And my hairdresser said this. He goes, I think for women, who have been divorced, that, within 6 months they have a right to know, hey, where's this going if they want to get married? Because, time is of the essence. Sometimes I can go and I know in 10 seconds that person's not for me. So why would I continue wasting their time or mine just because we had a good connection? You can have a good connection with every human being on the planet, but that doesn't mean that they're your match or the ones that you want to have a whole big long life relationship with. And I'm sure you've heard this saying, it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And that is so true because, putting yourself out there is not for wimps. It's a very courageous thing to do, to put yourself out there, and sometimes it can be very wearisome when you've been doing it a lot. Let me switch gears for a second real quick. Here I am, we're in June, and the 17th, right here, we have 175 days until our 5 Awesome Optimists Summit at the red carpet premiere of the movie The Journey here in Southern California, and we cannot wait to meet you. So make sure that you get the details on that. I'll leave those in the instructions in our more info box. And that's just going to be so awesome. And where are you now? Where do you want to be in 6 months? It's a little bit less than 6 months now. And in your relationships, with yourself, with your spouse, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, wherever they are, if you need to break up and you've been feeling it, just do it. Just do it. Because if you're not feeling happy, then they're not feeling happy either. And it doesn't do any one of you any good to be in a relationship that doesn't make you feel fabulous. In fact, it could be considered abusive to have that sort of psychological or mental, component that you never know what you're going to expect. And some people have toxic behaviors, and some people, they're really just not your match. So be optimistic about what's to come. Go through the storm, because there's going to be a wonderful rainbow at the end of it. It's okay. You will live. Every experience that you've had thus far that has been the most painful, I'm sure that you have, if you looked with your optimistic glasses, realize that in those experiences is where you gain the greatest of your gifts. So receive it. Receive those gifts. Don't be afraid to break up if you need to, and you know if you need to. So that is my message for today, and I thank you so much for watching. This is Diane, one of 5 awesome optimists.